I'm sorry. We get to be members of this committee and ask you questions rather than you tell us how long you're going to speak to us at.
That's Labour MP Siobhain McDonagh giving our sleazy Chancellor Jeremy Hunt a proper good going over on his autumn budget statement, and it's a joy to behold. Mwah!
How stupid do you think the British people are? You raise taxes by the equivalent of 10p in national insurance and then cut national insurance by 2p. You refuse to raise the tax thresholds for 6 years. You and I both know that that people will be paying £1,200 more in tax as a result of your measures. Aren't people right that you've been gouging with one hand and giving crumbs back with the other?
That is absolutely not what has been happening. I think it was absolutely right that we helped businesses through the pandemic, protecting 9 million jobs, meaning that we had one of the fastest recoveries from the pandemic of any large European country. And I think it was absolutely right, about £400 billion of support there, and about £100 billion of support in the cost of living crisis caused principally by the invasion of Ukraine. And I don't remember anyone on your side of Parliament or on mine saying that was the wrong thing to do, or indeed that was gouging. What they said, actually, we were right to step in and help families. But we're also honest with people that if you want to give that kind of level of support, then you have to pay for it. Now, what is different about the autumn statement is that having gone through a period where taxes had to go up in order to give that support, we're now in a position where, with inflation halved, with nearly every economic forecast increasing our growth rate, we are able to start to reduce the tax burden.
Can I ask how much tax do you think it's reasonable for a police sergeant, a senior nurse or a deputy head teacher to pay?
Well, as a result of the cuts to national insurance, an average teacher will get about £630 more next year. A nurse will be about £520, a police officer about £630 reduction. That is a step towards relieving the pressure, but I wouldn't say for a moment that they haven't seen, as everyone has seen, just let me finish, they haven't seen their taxes go up.
I'm sorry, we get to be members of this committee and ask you questions rather than you tell us how long you're going to speak to us at. After the government tax measures, 182,765 nurses, 141,827 teachers and 60,680 police officers will fall into the 40% tax bracket. Is that who the upper tax bracket was intended for?
Well, one of the ways that we raised money, and by the way, all I was trying to do was answer your first question, so if you were kind enough to let me answer your questions, I will do my very best to do so. Now, you asked me about the freezing of tax thresholds, which I'm happy to talk about. It is true that one of the ways that we were able to fund that extra support for families during the pandemic and the cost of living crisis was by freezing tax thresholds. We then had a position in this autumn statement where it was possible to relieve tax pressure, and I took the choice to concentrate those efforts in areas that would grow the economy the most. And that was why Paul Johnson said yesterday that if you're going to reduce taxes, these were the right taxes to reduce. The national insurance cut that we were talking about means that you get about 100,000 more people, full-time equivalent, into the workforce. That helps growth. The business expensing increase in tax relief, full expensing, means that we will increase investment in the economy over the next 5 years.
Well, let me finish. By 14, people you intended to go into the upper tax rate.
How do we pay for schools? How do we pay for hospitals? We pay for it through the wealth generated by the economy. Now, what the OBR said is that the full expensing measure will increase investment by about £14 billion over the next 5 years, which means more growth, more tax revenues, more money for schools and hospitals.
Chancellor, could you remind me, who was it that said, if you put your hands into people's pockets and take money out of them, and they do not see visible improvements in the services they receive, they get very angry indeed. Our public services are crumbling, our rivers are full of sewage, 8 million people on NHS waiting lists, the highest since records began, and taxes at their highest since World War II. Do you think that the voters may be very, very angry by the time we get to the next election?
Well, I think the voters are very realistic that we
Whose
have
quote
had.
was that, by the way? Sorry.
I'm very well. I hope you'll tell me.
You.
Right. Then it's a very wise comment, and I think voters are very realistic about the fact that we have been through a global shock with the pandemic and a global shock with the energy crisis, and they want to see improvements in public services, and that's why they welcome the fact that, for example, since 2010, crime has halved, excluding computer crime and fraud, which weren't measured in 2010, but violent crime, burglaries have halved, that school standards have risen to their highest ever, that we have more doctors and nurses in the NHS, although it's still struggling to recover post-pandemic. But absolutely, I want to see standards in public services going up. And when it comes to river pollution, that's why I'm very pleased this government has required the water companies to invest over £50 billion over the years ahead to clean up our rivers.
I don't want to end on a bad note, so I wanted to.
I know you wouldn't.
So I want to congratulate you on a historic first. The first Parliament ever since records began where household disposable incomes actually fall. Living standards will fall by 3.1% between December 2019 and January 2025. Households on average will be £1,900 poorer at the end of this Parliament than at its start. Do you think that's a proud record?
Well, what everyone knows is that there are reasons why not just the UK but the whole world is seeing that pressure on living standards because of the exceptional events that we had with the pandemic and the energy crisis. But I would just point you to the fact that a year ago the OBR said that living standards were going to fall by 3.7%, and they've actually gone up by 2.5%. So under good conservative economic management, things turn out better.
I don't think that's how people are feeling.
Thank you, Siobhain.
You can read a Tory minister like a book, can't you, these days? The reason why everything is an absolute mess is because of Russia's illegal war in Ukraine. A world pandemic that never affected the rest of the world at all. Only the UK. It's everyone else's fault except ours. And you can also tell our forever grinning Chancellor was very, very uncomfortable, wasn't he? I also get the feeling that our Siobhain McDonagh doesn't suffer fools gladly. But what do you guys think? Did you enjoy our grinning Jeremy Hunt giving an absolute bumpy ride? Let me know down below, and I shall just bid you farewell and take care, my friends.